I'm Simon Hanson, Economic Development and Policy Manager at NEPO. And over the next sort of 10-15 minutes, I'm just going to take you through the work that we're doing at NEPO around the TOMS developing that first regional model. And I'll touch on some of the successes that we've had, but also I'll touch on the environmental stuff at the end as well, around what we're doing around, specifically around the TOMS measures included in that. There we go. Right, I've just covered that off, haven't I? So I'll touch on who we are, the social value approach that we're doing, what we've delivered, the influence that we've had, and then the Northeast TOMS and economic recovery. So just to give a bit of background, I'm conscious that probably everybody from the Northeast will know who NEPO are, but for those that are from London, you may not know quite as much about NEPO. So we were established in 1976 to deliver an ambitious collaborative procurement work programme with our 12 fantastic Northeast local authorities here in the region, and our frameworks and solutions are being used by over 600 associate members from right across the UK, right across the public sector, and we've got a superb team of 30 people based in Newcastle. Well, I say based in Newcastle, based from home, but ostensibly based in a quayside office when times are normal, delivering on that ambitious agenda. So our social value approach for the next 3 years from 2020 to 2023 is centred around these 6 core areas. So we want to create opportunities for improving the living standards of Northeast residents, promote opportunities for small businesses, BCSEs, etc. We want to promote inclusion where we can and tackle disadvantage wherever it might be. We want to promote employment and economic sustainability, and that's never been more important, I think, than the challenges that we've come through over the past year with COVID, and goodness knows what the Chancellor is going to mention today in the budget, although I think most of the measures have been widely trailed. So again, it's how do we use the social value elements to be able to help drive that economic recovery right across the region. But I think most importantly for the audience today, it's those last 2 points, number 5 and number 6, that we do recognise the effects on the environment that business processes create. So we wanted to start to tackle that within the procurement work that we're doing, again, right across the region. And just as importantly, we want to position social value as an intrinsic part of the sustainability agenda. And again, I'm preaching to the converted here, but given the importance around climate change, UK obviously hosting COP26 this year, what we want to do with that is to be able to showcase the fantastic work that happens right across the Northeast in what we deliver, and just to be a bit more, dare I say, a bit more proud of the work that we do in and around that, and showcase the fantastic suppliers that are helping us develop that social value delivery as well. What we've delivered over the past few years to our pilot projects is there on that, in that green, orange quadrant, green quadrant, correctly, you'll get my eyes tested. But within that, you can see that there are some environmental elements that we've delivered through that as well. So we've saved through NT30 those car miles, so reducing the amount of car journeys that we have through our contracts. We've also dedicated, there's 34 hours of volunteer time dedicated to help create green infrastructure. So that's just off the past 2 years that we've been able to develop that. As I've said at the outset, the environmental considerations now are absolutely central for NEPO and how we deliver it. And at this stage, I should thank my brilliant colleague who's also on this call, Faustina, for the work that Faustina's doing within NEPO. So what Faustina's done is had a look through all of the 12 local authority climate action plans and distilled that into how NEPO can deliver those environmental aims to our collaborative procurement work as well. So yeah, so we've delivered a lot in terms of that social value work over the past couple of years. And as I say, we absolutely are making that central to the work that we do going forward from here on in. It's not just about NEPO, about what we do, but it's also the influence of our suppliers as well and how we've been able to help and shape that. Now, there's a couple of case studies on there that I'll just quickly touch on, which is the Bloom through the apprenticeship work. They've done a superb job over the past year, creating apprenticeships and dedicating that 600 hours of support. And Ash Group, which I'm not quite sure if this is appropriate for an environmental sort of themed approach, but around the Sunderland strategic transport corridor work. And again, we can see there that Ash has done some superb work in supporting suppliers and keeping money within the local economy. But I think the most important one for this audience is that one on the left that Embleton Hall Dairies have been able to do through the milk and dairy products framework, where they've massively reduced the plastic waste that milk deliveries have. So Kirk Newton from Embleton Hall Dairy spoke at a conference last week and demonstrated the impact that they've been able to have. So he had a 4-pint, I think it was either a 4 or 6-pint plastic carton of milk, empty plastic carton of milk, and was able to show how many pouches of milk they were able to sort of put into that 1 4 to 6 pint of milk. So it just vividly demonstrated just how much plastic they were reducing and how they were able to minimize that. And that's a key core value for Embleton Hall going forward as well, that it is now part of the culture. And as you can see in that snippet, that they have reduced plastic by almost 9 tonnes, which is an incredible effort from a small business in County Durham. So for us, the North East Toms model that we are developing, and as Vicky said at the outset, it is going to be the first regional model in the UK of how we can really capture the social value delivery that we have. We already know that the North East is a national leader in social value delivery, and we're hoping that the new model that we are developing will be able to capture that full delivery of social value. So we'll be able to really showcase the superb work that the procurers across the region are doing, the suppliers are being able to deliver. And again, as I sort of touched on it at the outset, is just to be a bit more proud about the work that we do here in the North East. We do an absolutely superb job, but we tend to just tell each other in the region how great we are, rather than telling anybody outside the region how great we are. And I think we can certainly stand up with the best of them across the UK in what we're delivering. So the approach that we're taking at the moment, and for the local authorities on the call, we are consulting with all 12 local authorities just to get that feedback as to what the most important priorities are for local authorities over the next 12 months, including those environmental aspects, because we know that all 12 have declared climate emergency. So it's how do we feed in the TOMS work in to be able to deliver on those tangible results that we want to see in delivering those broader climate declarations. We're also consulting with what are called anchor institutions. It's a pretty jargonistically phrased that, but frankly, it's just the wider public sector, people like universities and some of the bigger businesses that we have that aren't ever going to leave the region necessarily, and just to get their feedback as to how we can deliver that broader social value again right across the region. The consultation is going to focus on themes and outcomes rather than the measures, because within the TOMS, the national TOMS framework, there are a gargantuan sum of measures. So we're wanting to really refine that and simplify it so that everybody can use it across the region as a framework to be able to deliver on those social value goals. And it will be a robust model that's going to help to shape the resilient regional economic recovery. And it's that resilience that's the most important thing over the next 12 months, that we really want to embed this into the new, as I say, over the next 12 months, so that we can deliver economic growth in every local authority area right across the region. But again, it's to be a bit more proud of the work that procurement can do within all of this. It tends to be that it's a forgotten partner in economic growth, that we always have the sort of, the big announcements around new schemes being developed or new infrastructure projects, and procurement can be absolutely at the heart of all of that and deliver it, and to achieve those broader goals that we all want, whether that's job creation or apprenticeship starts or reduction in environmental challenges, etc. So yeah, so we really want to position that at the heart of it. And again, that will come back to the communications that we put out both regionally and nationally. And then it's this final slide around the North East TOMS and the environment. And if I'm being brutally honest, this is the bit that we're starting to get our heads around now, because it's a nascent piece of work for us. So we know that all 12 councils across the North East have declared the climate emergency, and it's now at the so what stage. Again, it's easy to declare an emergency. It's a bit like phoning 999 and saying, I'm declaring an emergency, and it's what emergency service do you want, and how do we deliver on those ambitions that we have? So we're conscious that all 12 have developed plans. It's how we put that procurement work into, central into that delivery as well. So again, that's where that consultation around the TOMS model that we're delivering will be critical to that. So it's how do we help reduce those climate emissions, but also how do we help achieve some of the broader ambitions that we have in that. So we know that there's a huge amount of startups within the broader low carbon space. How do we help them in terms of that procurement to be able to grow their business to deliver on those broader climate ambitions that we have? And that second point, the North East really should be driving the national agenda in achieving the net zero ambitions of the UK. We've got absolutely everything that we need here in the North East, whether it's that expertise in universities, whether it's the businesses being able to deliver, or the ambitions of the public sector, both at local authority and at regional governance level, to be able to deliver and drive on that. And again, I think it's the North East is a solution to the UK's problems around this, rather than a problem to the UK's solutions around all of this. And again, there's a feeling within the region that, given that the North East was at the heart of the Industrial Revolution and the sort of extraction of coal and all the rest of it, that we've got a responsibility to become the UK's greenest region as well. So we've got all of that expertise that we can deliver and drive that achievement of net zero, the net zero ambitions that the government have. And within the TOMS framework, there are a few specific measures that can help to demonstrate that real delivery. So I touched on it in terms of the orange quadrant. There's the NT32 around reduced car miles. There's NT68 around reduced plastic usage. But NT31, frankly, this feels like a bit of a stato's dream, doesn't it, to go through all of these measures individually. But NT31 is around reducing the carbon emissions. And it's, again, how do we put that into the regional TOMS framework that we're delivering, to make it easier for both procurers to be able to judge how that's been achieved, suppliers to be able to deliver against that, and just to make it easy right across the region. So again, we can demonstrate that real delivery that we've got right across the region. And as I've said there, procurement can help deliver tangible change in behaviours as well. You know, the strategies that have been developed within local authorities or at a regional level can help to influence the way that the market responds to this. So suppliers will respond to it. What we're picking up in some of the consultations that we're having at the moment is that suppliers just want that clear direction. They don't want to be left in a sort of questionable, well, if you're telling us that this is important, but tell me what you want me to be able to do to deliver on that. They don't want it just left open-ended so that they're having to come up with the solutions against a broad TOMS framework, if you like. So again, the more clarity that we can have in and around that would really help both suppliers and I would imagine both and procurement folk as well. And I think we do need to celebrate the successes that we've achieved. If as an example, in terms of the carbon emissions, and before the event kicked off, we were having a chat around the carbon emissions throughout the pandemic. But in the North East, I think from 2007 through to about 2014-15, where the last data is available, the North East reduced its carbon emissions by 50% across the region. Now, to the outside world, nobody would know about that, but we've got to start celebrating some of those things to be able to say that we are delivering on the broader climate goals and we can come up with the solutions, but we really need to start pushing that. I mean, 50% reduction in emissions is no mean feat right across 12 local authority areas. And that final point, I do think we need to start raising the profile of the superb suppliers that we have in the North East, because again, that will start to influence a tangible change in behaviours that we have from suppliers. If you know, frankly, if businesses can see that others are getting a leg up by being able to deliver on this, and they've got a bit of competitive advantage, that will start to shape how they can do it. And I think within that as well, it's one of those where could we change some of the procurement around, rather than it being just this is what we want to procure and these are the measures that we'll demonstrate, it's to flip that on its head almost and to say to the supply base, this is the challenge that we've got in local authority areas. Can we open that up to a challenge opportunity so suppliers can come up with the responses that we have to tackling some of those bigger challenges that we've got, and then to be able to embed that into the procurement process based on that challenge process that we have. So it's almost beefing up the market engagement work that we'll do right across the region. So how can we start to influence and shape that? And that'll start to inspire some new startups to want to deliver on these broader ambitions, but also it'll help with that broader entrepreneurialism agenda that we're all pushing in the region to help stimulate that economic recovery right across, again, the region and more broadly in the UK. So the environmental aspect, as I say, it's at the start of the process for us. We're starting to get our heads around it. We're trying to understand just what all of the 12 local authorities are wanting to achieve. And we know that there's a range of ambitions in terms of when those climate plans and net zero plans will be delivered. So Durham's got to 2050. I think South Tynesyde's around about 2030 that they've said that they want to be net zero by. So we know there's a big time lag between local authorities in the region. So again, hopefully the North East Toms model that we have should be able to cope with those time lags and be able to help us deliver on the agenda that we want to deliver, which is, you know, a reduction in carbon emissions to net zero by whatever time frame local authorities have come up with.